Welcome back to Fickle Sports. We are back with another score predictions video. Let's not waste your time. Let's get straight into what the fuck happened in game week 3.
Wait. Before you do that, if you've been watching this previously, you know we are doing a head-to-head and we're tracking the score. At the end of each month, whoever has the highest score gets to choose the loser's payoff. Has to be something embarrassing on screen, and we need some help. Next week's episode, we're doing it. Give us some suggestions in the comments.
So up on your screen now, you can see all the Premier League results from game week 3.
Yeah, who can have guessed most of the results that happened this weekend? It was a wild weekend, but as you can see, yours truly coming out with a win this game week. What does it mean for the overall score? Can you confirm to me?
Sorry, I got something in my eye. I can't. Have I got it out my eye?
No, it's fully wedged in that eye. I have come out 13 points overall versus Alex's 11. So Alex will be doing the payoff in next week's episode.
Do you know what? I'll give you credit for beating me, but only just. I'll tell you why. Because you beat me by 2 points, right? The Aston Villa game, and to be fair, the ultra optimistic villains fan that is Carl, you two both called it. You hit the nail on the head, right? So fair play. But the Manchester United one, right?
Hilarious.
They deserved nout, and they took it all after a penalty after the final whistle had gone. How you got that one, I don't know. So I'll give you 0 credit for that one, but you deserve the win for the Villa prediction.
I was down 5-4, but I clawed my way back to game week 2, and I finished him off game week 3. So,
okay, enough of Gary talking about how he finished me off. We are not that sort of channel. Let's move on. So yes, I will be doing the forfeit next week.
So first up is Chelsea versus Crystal Palace, 12:30 on Saturday at Stamford Bridge. And you know what, Chelsea, we kind of predicted this. You know, so many new, very good players for a squad. Frank Lampard still quite inexperienced. We knew it's going to be a bumpy road. Basically their defending in the first half was absolutely dreadful. I do want to credit them for coming back to 3-3. It takes a lot of mental strength to come back. But it's going to be a bumpy road for Chelsea fans for the first couple of months. And these sort of games, you're going to see them more often than not. But eventually we think at some stage, Chelsea will get it right.
Yeah, I suppose it's at this point in time that we find out if Lampard is as good as Chelsea fans will hope he is. Crystal Palace, on the other hand, they lost in their last game. They wasn't disgraced against Everton. And you have to remember, Everton are very much one of the top form teams at the moment, so I think they may even be a little bit confident coming into this game. When you take a look at that Chelsea game and you see that Chelsea haven't really played that well yet, but Crystal Palace, they won their first 2 games and that very good victory over Manchester United. So I think Palace might have a sneaky feeling there's points up for grabs here.
Ooh, okay. So what I'm guessing with the score predictions, are you going bold here? I mean,
I'm going very bold with our 1-1.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I'm going Chelsea 2-1. I think you're right. Crystal Palace will come back from that previous game week. Quite confident in seeing what West Brom did to Chelsea, that they can frustrate them. But I think the intensity and the response that Chelsea will likely have following that 3-3, I think they're going to edge it.
Next up is Everton versus Brighton at Goodison Park on Saturday at 3 p.m. Everton have been one of the best sides in the Premier League so far. They already have Tottenham, which was a really good win against them in the first game of the season. And in their most previous game, as we just mentioned, they beat Palace. And as Palace have proved, they are no pushovers. But they're coming up against a really strong test in Brighton. But what we were saying about Lampard earlier, I think Ancelotti is perfect proof that when you're that good of a manager, you can take those players and almost instantly design a system which works for the new players and the old. So I think Ancelotti at this point in time deserves a lot of credit.
Yeah, Brighton really unlucky not to get a point against Man United. You could
super unlucky.
You could say they were really unlucky not to get all 3 points, considering how they were smashing Man United's goal and hitting the woodwork a million times. And I thought they generally played better than Man United. I think Man United were just clinical with their finishing. It shows you how ruthless you have to be in the Premier League. It's the difference between having 3 very good performances and ending up with 3 points only instead of having maybe more. They could have got 6 or 7 points in their opening 3 games. Let's go on to the score predictions. What have you got for the score predictions?
I am going 2-1 Everton. As well as Brighton have played over the last 3 games, I think Everton have played better, and I think that little bit of extra quality is what will see them through for the 3 points.
I'm going 2-1 Everton as well. I have the exact same reasoning, unfortunately, which kind of makes me think I should pick something else because, as you know, you're not doing too well with the score predictions. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I don't, unless Brighton start finishing clinically, I just don't see them getting above a single goal in this game. I think Everton, you're right, they are the better team. They're in form, they're confident, and I see them running out 2-1 winners. Next up is Leeds versus Man City, 5:30 on Saturday at Ellen Road. Oh, Alex, would you look at the time? We got to go, right?
Yeah, we can't do the Leeds game. Oh, you're committed. You're walking away. I'm not that good.
Oh, Mickey Leeds, we are very sorry for last week's episode. We forgot to put Leeds in our score predictions. Blame it on me.
And Sheffield United.
Yeah, and Sheffield United.
Both of them, we're sorry.
Leeds fans will be in dreamland, really. I mean, the first 3 games, okay, you can't expect to beat Liverpool, but you put in a great performance. But you win your next 2 games, and my criticism before was that Leeds were not sound defensively, and they followed up and responded with a 1-0 win and got that clean sheet. It seems Bielsa has really got this team attacking-wise really coordinated, carry the ball well, and yeah, they're really effective in front of goal, and I've even put them in my fantasy team. And you know what, I can truly appreciate Bielsa's Asian squat on the sideline. I don't know why he needs to do it, but he is squatting on that sideline and he's extending his life. It's good for the soul.
Okay, well, you and this weird fetish of you and Bielsa's squat. But Manchester City, they started off against Wolves in a 3-1 win. We thought that was going to be kind of the start of them really working towards trying to improve from last season and nip the title off of Liverpool, but it all fell apart against Leicester City. I mean, I don't know what happened. Leicester City found a vibe of putting it in behind for Vardy, and they just could not deal with it.
They got sliced open time after time. It was pretty crazy to see.
I think certainly Pep Guardiola will be looking at himself, and I think he will want a reaction against Leeds. So this is why, prediction-wise, I think Man City are really going to be aiming for a big win to try and put that Leicester game behind them, and I'm going 4-1 Manchester City.
Ooh.
Sorry, Mickey.
I think there are going to be a lot of goals too. I really do think so. So that's why I'm going 4-2 Man City. I'm sorry, Mickey Leeds.
Next up is Newcastle versus Burnley. It's the 8 p.m. game on Saturday. Now, Newcastle, they started off well against West Ham, but since then they really haven't been playing well, and they were very fortunate to get a point against Tottenham in an incident where I'll take a leaf out of Mourinho's book and I will say nothing because it still upsets me greatly. I'm not going to say anything about it. Although, to be fair to Newcastle, you know, they didn't play well and they got offered an opportunity to get a point and they would have taken it with both hands. So absolute fair play, and fair play to Steve Bruce for what he said, because I think he could have been very smug about that, and I think what he said was very fair.
Yeah. It's a farce, but you know, as an Arsenal fan, do I find it hilarious? Absolutely. Is it terrible? Yeah, it's a real terrible rule at the moment, and it's unfortunate because some teams are going to benefit, and if they've just updated it now, that's it. That could be the difference between relegation and getting into Europe or whatever. And
to be fair, one Newcastle fan I wrote on Twitter, he said Tottenham deserves to lose a point because they didn't score more than one goal against us, and most teams should.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you were dominating. You should have scored.
Let's talk about Burnley.
Burnley, I'd be very worried if I was a Burnley fan right now. Lost 2, haven't particularly played well in those games. You need to start picking up points quickly. It's worrying because they don't have a lot of firepower from the bench, so it's hard to refresh that squad. But yeah, right now they're not firing on all cylinders. They lost that intensity. Maybe right now they really need to bury the hatches and go for clean sheets and win really the ugly way for now.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because my prediction is both teams, I mean, they've shown it in moments. They haven't shown a lot going forward, so I'm going with a 0-0.
Ooh, okay. I don't know why, but I'm going with a Burnley 1-0. I think it's their time to finally win. So I'm going with Burnley 1-0. Next up is Leicester versus West Ham, Sunday, midday at the King Power Stadium. Leicester, that's got to be up there with one of the greatest away wins for you guys. Great performance. Takes a lot of discipline and heart, knowing that you're not going to see the ball for a long time, and they executed their game plan perfectly.
That Maddison goal.
Oh, wow. I was screaming before it even went in. I was like, I knew it was going in. It was like a training ground exercise. You were just like, no one's going to close me down. I'll look at the top right. It's going straight up in there. Yeah, they really have the players to hurt Man City in the transition, on the counter-attack. Tielemans, Barnes, Vardy. There's some pretty athletic players, all know what they're doing, executing Brendan Rodgers' plan perfectly.
West Ham, they're probably going to be feeling pretty similar to Leicester as well. And you know what? We've mentioned a few times, the Premier League has been really unpredictable so far this season, but I think nothing encapsulates that quite like West Ham United. As I said, they're on a horrible run of games. They've got protests going on. They've not signed anyone yet other than Suchek. And what do? Out of the bag, they pull out a 4-0 win against Wolves.
Smashed it.
Where?
Quintessentially West Ham.
I think Leicester City, they better be careful, because as you said, against Man City, they're very much the counter-attacking team. But in this game, they are going to have the possession. And I think West Ham, they are dangerous on the counter. So they might be careful, because West Ham might just come close to doing to Leicester City what Leicester City did to Manchester City.
Okay. Score predictions then.
I'm going 2-2.
Interesting.
I'm going 2-2. Yep, I think West Ham, as I say, I do think they can hurt them on the counter. And I think Leicester City will find it hard to break down West Ham.
So you're saying Antonio Ronaldo is going to come up with a brace?
Well, it was Bowen this time. Now they're just taking it in turns to be R9.
I'm going Leicester 3-1. I just think they have been so hurt by missing out on the Champions League. They really need to go for it. They need to prove again that they are a Champions League team, and I think they're very focused this season. So I'm going. Unless Vardy is hurt from that groin injury that he picked up, so like you can see him holding it.
I saw.
I think they'll be fine. I think they'll win 3-1.
Next up is Southampton versus West Brom. It's at St Mary's and it's at midday on Sunday. Now, Southampton picked up their first win of the season. It's a 1-0 win against Burnley, and it was a game in which they played really well. And I think they're going to be looking against West Brom to try and build on that, because against Tottenham, even though they lost 5-2, I still think they didn't play that badly. And it looks like that game by game they're improving slowly. And of course, they do have that man, Danny Ings, who he's always worth a goal.
Yeah, West Brom, that's a tough pill to swallow. Being 3-0 up, you really feel like you've lost it. The thing is, as bad as Chelsea's defending was in the first half, West Brom's defending was just as bad in the second. Poor closing down for Mason Mount's goal. If you guys didn't concede so early in the second half, we would have been talking about a different result. And if you're 3-0 up, you really need to be clinical and take those wins, because you're desperate for points here. They should take the positives, forget about the negatives. They have bright sparks, Matías Pereira, who, by the way, has 1 goal, 2 assists now, Alex, who has said that he'll eat my shoe if he gets 10 goals and 10 assists. And Callum Robinson, there is hope for West Brom. Slaven Bilic, he can galvanise the squad. Us versus the world mentality, he has that potential. But other than that, score predictions, what are you looking at?
I think Southampton, I think West Brom aren't going to be able to do the same amount of damage to Southampton that, say, Tottenham did. I don't think they're going to be able to get in behind. And I think they've learned from their previous games, and they seem to be on the up. They seem to improve in each game. So I'm going 3-1 Southampton.
Ooh, I'm going 1-0 Southampton. I'm going 1-0. Arsenal versus Sheffield United. Sunday, 2 o'clock at the Emirates Stadium. Arsenal, against Liverpool, that was a very scary first half. I haven't seen such a dominant performance. I really think Klopp outsmarted Arteta tactically in the first half. Didn't allow us to get out of our own half. Really pressed us well. Those players executed Klopp's tactics perfectly. And I think Arteta, he had to be stubborn because he wants his team to learn the hard way, get it out from the box, which I respect. But that Liverpool performance was insane. But at the same time, we still took the lead. It was just disappointing to see that we conceded so early. Liverpool went on 2-1, and we still had a chance to make it 2-2. Lacazette, really, that is bread and butter. For a Premier League striker, you've got to finish that. But, we're not expecting anything at Anfield away. We've got to take it and move on to the next game.
Sheffield United, on the other hand, things are looking really bad for Sheffield United at the moment. They don't look anywhere close to the same team that they were when they come up last season. I think that is part and parcel of the risk of the tactics that Wilder does play. He's very much based on hard working, which there still is, but it's very efficient. And it is just a case that if they don't have a clinical game, then the chances are that they're either going to draw or lose. The reason they finished so high in the last Premier League season wasn't because of the goals they were scoring, but it's because of the goals that they weren't conceding. Mm-hmm. But I think Wilder will be hoping that it's just kind of teething issues with the new season, and that he might be able to find the same spot that he had in the season before.
Now, score prediction time. What do you think is going to be the score for this one?
Same with the Leicester City game. I'm going for a draw. Everything tells me it should be an Arsenal win, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if they don't. But I can just see it being one of those games where Arsenal struggle to break down Sheffield United, and Sheffield United don't really get any chances. So it just ends up being a draw. So for that reason, I'm going 1-1.
Right. Blasphemy once again. I do think it will be a tough game for Arsenal. Sheffield United will bury down the hatches, but then counter-attack quite effectively, potentially against Arsenal. So I'm going for a 2-1 win for Arsenal. They're going to squeeze it out. It's going to be a tough one, but Arteta will reiterate the importance of winning games like this, and they will.
Next up, it's Wolves versus Fulham at the Molineux at 2 p.m. on Sunday. Now, Wolves have not been playing that well recently. They are fresh off the back of a 4-0 drumming by West Ham, and that's a team that haven't really been playing well, but they did turn up against Wolves. I think a lot of Wolves fans, what they'll be hoping is if you go back to last season, they started off the campaign with 3 draws. It was a very slow start for Wolves, and then once they kind of got into their rhythm, they got a lot better as the season progressed. And so I think a lot of Wolves fans, they'll be hoping that is a similar thing. They're just taking their time to find their pace, and once they get there, they'll start picking up the victories.
Fulham, I don't know what to say about this team. Scotty Parker, he tried to revamp that back line. It didn't work. It's just far too easy to get behind this Fulham defense. No one's pressing properly. Teams are getting in behind them, cutting it back and just smashing it into the goal. They're too nice in defense. They let teams play against them. And I don't know, their attack is too hot and cold right now to rely upon that. So they really have to improve their defense if they're going to be taken seriously in this league. And yeah, I hate to see it because I like Fulham as a club, but it's not going well.
What's your prediction for this one?
I'm going Wolves 2-0. I just don't see, until Fulham can prove me otherwise that they can get stops, I'm just going to go with the other team, unfortunately. So I think it's time that Wolves will pick up their form and they'll win.
I think Wolves will also have revenge on their mind. Not against Fulham, but they'll want to make amends for the West Ham game. So I'm going 3-1 Wolves.
Ooh.
Next up is Manchester United versus Spurs. It's happening at 4:30 on Sunday, and it is our nominated game of the week. So if you want the predictions and all the stats, injury news, predicted lineups for that game, head on over to our Game of the Week video, which we will be posting on Friday.
And finally, it is Aston Villa versus Liverpool, Sunday, 7:15 at Villa Park. Hey, I predicted last week. I knew Villa were going to win, and they did it. They done did it. They'll be super, super happy with a clean sheet. 3 goals scored, Jack Grealish off the mark. That chemistry between Jack Grealish and McGinn is returning, and you know, Martinez, two clean sheets in a row. Love him to bits. Look after him.
Am I right in saying Aston Villa are the only team who haven't conceded yet? I think I am.
You might very well be.
I think every other team has conceded 3. So they're winning that race by quite a margin.
So this is a real big test against Liverpool. Last season, when they were really scrapping for safety from relegation, they did do a very good performance against Liverpool and almost came with a draw. Can they bring that out? It's going to be too tough, but this is a free one. This is a free hit. If you can get points out of this, then perfect.
Liverpool, they've played 3, they've won 3, and I'll say they're all 3 games that you would expect them to win. And do you know what the scary thing is, Gary? Is against Leeds, they played well, but they conceded 3. It wasn't great. Against Chelsea, they played a bit better, especially when the man got sent off. But against Arsenal, they improved again. They played really well against Arsenal. So they look like they're getting better. Not necessarily from their tip-top form from last season, but from this season onwards, they're just game by game, they're getting better. And that would spell warning signs for Aston Villa.
They do really remind me of the Invincibles teams, where they're just having jokes, man. You're just destroying teams, and like they'll concede a few, but like doesn't matter. We're just gonna blast everyone else. Score prediction. What do you think about this?
Villa have been playing really well, but I have to take into account how well Liverpool have been playing, and this is a complete different kettle of fish for them. So I'm going 2-1 Liverpool.
Oh, okay. My prediction would have been different. Unless I saw that performance Liverpool did against Arsenal, which was rampant. So, and I think Liverpool are going to run away with the league again this season. So I'm going Liverpool 3-0. I'm really sorry. I've been up on the Villa, but this is one stretch too far. Before we go, on screen is a roundup of our scores. Now, next week we'll be doing that payoff. Alex is not looking forward to that. Let us know what your score predictions are in the comments, and we'll see you next time.
See you later.